Sup, dudes?
Yo.
What's up, dude?
What's going on?
Nah, man, just scoping the hanging the 10, bro.
Hanging the
Toes to the nose, bro. Toes to the nose.
Oh man. For everyone who's not watching the YouTube video here, we're practicing wearing our costumes for Halloween. This is Filling the Storehouse Podcast. I'm King Neptune.
You're not, dude. You look like Santa Claus.
No,
Yeah,
dude.
definitely look
Actually,
like
you
Santa
kind of look like
Claus.
Moses. Moses. I'd go with Moses.
We're going with the Little Mermaid theme this year. I'm King Neptune. My daughter's gonna be Ariel, and then my wife is gonna be Flounder, and my son is gonna be the lobster.
Sebastian, dude. He's a crab.
Bastion. Yeah.
Not lobster, bro. He's a crab.
Is he? Is
Yeah.
he a crab or is he a lobster?
He's a crab, dude.
Michael. what do you
Pretty
think?
sure he's a crab. Yeah. It's been a while
100%,
since
man.
I've seen it, but I think he's a
In
crab.
the scene when the cook is trying to kill him and he sings the song about sweet succulent crab, something. He's a
How does it
crab,
go?
bro.
Do you remember?
He doesn't have a tail.
Oh. All right. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
You're gonna dress up Wellesley as a lobster, and everybody's gonna be like, "Who? Why does Moses have a lobster, some random fish, and a mermaid?"
Who are you supposed to be?
Dude, come on, man. I don't know. This was Jakey's. He was Steve Irwin at one point, and then
Uh-huh.
it turned into, I don't know, rocker surfer dude.
Rocker surfer
He's a
dude?
good looking, like a model, like a Brad Pitt. You see it?
Yeah. Sure.
Good hair.
Mike.
Maybe not as
Mike
good as
looks
mine,
like.
but that's
Mike
pretty
looks
good.
like. He looks like Shakira.
No, dude, he
Like,
looks like the 80s rock band, like Foreigner or like Cinderella or like some awesome 80s rock band.
Metal.
I think
Heavy metal
when I'm-
boys.
when I'm looking at Mike, all I'm hearing is
Kiss.
my hips don't lie. My hips don't lie.
Oh yeah.
Your West Point buddies would be really proud right now, Michael.
They would.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my Army boys.
Well, that's a good start. I mean, we feel bad for you already, coming from West Point. But this is kind of a part of the joke, is we wanted to get you on here with a stupid looking wig and just make fun of you more.
Yeah, so joke's on you, dude.
Jokes
You're
on
looking
you, dude.
good.
Hey, I got a good Army joke for you. It's a good West Point joke. You guys want to hear it?
Ready?
Yes.
So what do West Point graduates and Annapolis graduates have in common?
Man, you can't use my joke, dude.
What?
Not your joke. They both got accepted to the Naval Academy.
Oh, snap.
Snap.
How you like
Snap.
that? Is that a good dad joke?
David does use that joke quite often when we're talking to either Air Force or Army folk.
Oh, I've listened to your podcast quite a bit, but I guess I didn't hear it on that one. So sorry for recycling.
That's all right, man. Well, hey, for our listeners who don't know you, we have a lot of War Room listeners, and I know you're wearing our War Room Mastermind T-shirt, rocking it out.
I am.
But yeah, man, tell our listeners just a little bit about who you are and kind of your background, and then and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So really excited. Just had a major career shift. I'd like to say it's my third career at this point. But basically just left the corporate world, was in big tech for about a decade. So worked in the telecom industry, cybersecurity, worked for enterprise software as a service companies for the last decade. And frankly, before that, obviously was in the military, active duty Army officer, graduate of West Point, the best service academy, obviously. But yeah, so just recently started my third career doing doing full-time real estate investment. So, the focus is multifamily. We do have some mixed-use redevelopment projects that we're working on, but we have a couple assets down in Central Texas. So one in Houston, which is actually southeast, Webster, which is southeast Houston, Arlington, which is the middle of DFW, and then a couple assets here in Colorado where I live. So I live out in Denver. You guys both live in, well, David soon will be living in Denver as well, but we're all Colorado brothers. So yeah, I mean, at a high level, once again, hopefully this is my last kind of career shift. But from my standpoint, I just wasn't fulfilled in the corporate world anymore. Just had way too many meetings. I mean, a lot of people said, "Hey, you have a really sexy job working with partners such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto Networks." But I didn't get up in the morning excited every day anymore. So I knew it was time to move on.
So
I mean, the entire time I was talking, you were like smirking. So I'm like trying to be serious.
I wasn't smirking, dude. I was dying laughing and crying over here and trying to cover it because first challenge of the day, I challenge anybody listening to go watch on YouTube the opening and just try not to laugh as Mike is talking about some serious stuff. And just the wig is amazing. You're beautiful, Michael.
All right, I think I'm gonna lose the wig now.
I think if anything, like this is just going to attract like way more investors to invest with you.
100%. I agree. And hey, Mike, if you don't mind, can you also rewind a little bit and just tell us a little bit specifically about your military career?
Yeah. So in the military, my undergraduate degree at West Point was in management information systems. And so I knew I wanted to use my degree in whatever I did in the military. So I picked, I ended up being a signal nerd, do a little bit of cybersecurity. But I also knew that I wanted to do combat arms and get some of that leadership training, the leadership aspect of being a platoon leader, at a maneuver unit. So I ended up going to 3rd ACR, 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment here in Colorado, out of Fort Carson, and was in 3rd ACR. I don't know if you guys have heard of General H.R. McMaster, but he was a regimental commander of the 3rd ACR when I was there as a platoon leader. At one point during my second deployment to Iraq, I was his convoy security detachment commander. So I was running convoys all around Iraq, from Tal Afar to Mosul to Baghdad. But yeah, it was some crazy times in Iraq from 03 to 06 when I went there a couple different times. And then technically I'm still in. I'm a reservist. I have about 18 and a half years in. My most recent job was assistant branch chief for a cyber intel group at Northcom, where effectively, we were the intelligence arm for the Joint Cyber Center at Northcom. So any sort of intelligence requirements around elections, obviously, adversary threats from nation states. We provided intel around that. But I recently left that and am now an instructor, for what's called ILE, Intermediate Leaders Education. But basically, in order to get promoted from major, which is kind of midfield career within the Army, to lieutenant colonel, you have to take a required course. And so I'm an instructor for that. And, this module I'm teaching leadership. And so I get to talk about developing, changing organizations, organizational behavior. It's just a great way for me to give back to the Army, because the Army's been great to me for the last almost 2 decades.
That's awesome, man. And what, so you were in the corporate world. So you went reserves and then you started doing the corporate gig. And what kind of made you decide to get into real estate as well on the side, besides just the Army reserves and the corporate stuff going on?
Yeah, so my first foray into real estate was really during grad school. And I went to grad school in 2008. I mean, just like a lot of folks coming off of active duty, I knew I wanted to get some business fundamentals, get an MBA. So I did that. And I was like, well, let me go ahead and buy a rental property in Boulder. So I ended up buying a condo that was half mile away from University of Colorado at Boulder. Knew as I was going to be able to get rented to students. But I guess one thing I didn't think about, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad just like everybody else. And for some reason, I guess I just didn't internalize a lot of the tenants from it, because effectively I bought a rental property, great location, can't deny that. But I also bought a rental property that had close to a $400 HOA, right? And so effectively, once I graduated and decided to turn it into a rental, we weren't cash flowing. We were effectively losing a couple $100 a month, which, in the grand scheme of things wasn't bad. But I also didn't think about management of it, right? So we were self-managing it. My wife and I had a newborn at the time. And we were effectively pregnant with our second child, and she was managing this rental that had students in it. And I mean, they were calling us for stupid reasons, like changing light bulbs, or there were spider webs in the corner that, they wanted us to clean. And we were like, come on, like, this is not what we expected from, our kind of real estate journey. So effectively we ended up selling it. We did use the first time home buyer credit to buy it. We sold it before we owned it for 3 years. So effectively had to pay the first time home buyer credit back, which was unfortunate. But, good lesson learned there. And so kind of soured us a little bit on real estate. Frankly, didn't really think about real estate again as an investment vehicle until late 2018, when I was kind of in transition from a cybersecurity job to just looking at something in enterprise software, cybersecurity in general. But effectively I was at a company that was supposed to go public within 12 to 18 months of me being there. It missed a quarter. They missed their quarterly numbers, completely out of my control. My team was doing great. We ended up getting bought by a private equity firm that was known in the industry for getting rid of business development organizations, which is what I led. And yeah, I mean, after we got acquired 8 months later, even after getting bumped with a ton of equity, my team was let go. We were effectively riffed, reduction in force. And so for me at that point, I was like, you know what? I never want to be in the situation again where, I'm dependent on a W-2 or a paycheck every 2 weeks. And so started looking for avenues for passive income, started, talking to my network, and, a friend of mine, had been investing in some small multifamily here in Colorado and had done really well, had turned a couple quads and did really well. And so effectively I ended up getting in on his third deal. We bought a 12 unit in West Denver, and that ended up doing really well. Effectively got bought out of that last year. And yeah, I mean, because I'm originally from Texas, have investors, family, friends in Texas that are interested in continuing to invest in Texas. And so now looking to expand the footprint, but looking to expand in DFW and Central Texas.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess you had a couple of different things going on. You had this, I don't know if it was a passion, or I don't know if the cyber stuff is necessarily a passion of yours, but it seems like it's definitely an interest. But you were doing corporate world and recognize that you wanted something different, or at least something to supplement and not be in a position of vulnerability within the corporate world. So started doing the real estate thing, building that out, and that's providing an additional source of income. And then now, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I'm a COO and managing partner for Redeem Investments, and it was a private investment firm that was founded by another West Pointer. He graduated a couple years before I did. But it's pretty serendipitous how we met. We didn't know each other back at school. I knew I wanted to leverage my network to find potential partners in Texas, and so that led me to utilizing the West Point real estate network to to find a few guys that were owners, operators down there. And once again, when I say serendipitous, our wives ended up knowing each other before we did. They were both influencers within the lactation consulting space. So they both helped new moms breastfeed. They were Instagram, Facebook friends. They had never met each other in person, but just a lot of commonality between the two of us, right? And so when you're looking for partners, obviously you want to make sure that you trust, like one another, but you also know that the bad apples pretty quick with regards to other service academy guys. For every 100 people, I'd say 99 are really good, and you'd love to do business with them or be friends, keep them in your circle. You can tell pretty quick. And so, yeah, I knew right from the get-go that this was a guy that I wanted to have a long-term relationship with.
That's kind of crazy that your wives are both in. That's not a huge industry. Well, I imagine it's a sizable industry, but it's not like, not every day do you hear about that specific field. So that's kind of crazy that they got to know each other. So, and I'm sorry, so you did that, but you're partnering with these guys, and what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so our focus is still value add multifamily. I think opportunistically, we're doing other things as well. I think, we have a decent investor base that's interested in a whole bunch of different avenues to diversify, right? So we do have a renewable energy fund, which is really, it's almost like a debt play. A lot of syndicators have, a different class of investments, within their syndications, right? So a lot of the investors have, a lot of syndicators have, a class A investment per se that, gives preferred return of 10%, but there's no participation in upside, right? So our renewable energy fund, we effectively provide pre-development loans for a solar farm developer out in the Mid-Atlantic that's partnering with a large utility company, and this large utility company effectively partners with developers to buy solar farms, right? And so they wanted to be focused on what they're good at, their core competency, which is development of solar farms and not having to raise capital. And so through our network, basically they reached out to us and said, hey, we know you guys have access to capital. We know that your company is called Redeem Investments, and you're looking to provide alternative investment vehicles for your investors. And so let's try to figure out a way to work with one another. And so, yeah, effectively we're providing pre-development loans, to this partner of ours. They're paying us 15% interest, and we're effectively passing on 12% of that to our investors via monthly distributions, right? And so I guess part of the reason why we have multiple different food groups within our company is, really, obviously, multifamily, has its benefits, but there's other people that are looking for lower risk investments. Maybe perhaps they're not looking for equity investments. They're looking for, a fixed income or, a fixed stream of interest payments that are coming on a monthly basis. And so this was just a different way for us to offer that. So I guess to completely answer your question, obviously we have this renewable energy fund, but we also focus on value add multifamily in Colorado, Central Texas, and we have a investment fund, I guess, coming up here in the next quarter or two that we'll be launching as well.
All right, so I want to take a step back a little bit here, and so your journey in kind of the real estate business world, you bought a condo in 2008 in Boulder, didn't do fantastic on it, kind of got sour, didn't do anything else until 2018. Is that true? That's
correct? Right, yeah.
And the first thing that you bought in 2018 was a 12 unit in Denver, Colorado. And I think most people know Denver, Colorado, like it's not like a cheap place to live. Even in 2018, like it was already like prices were getting up there. So you went from one condo that didn't do well to a 12 unit in Denver. That's a big step, man. And now, like 3 years later, you're running multiple investment funds in the multi-million-dollar range. the COO of a decent sized company that owns millions of dollars of multifamily real estate and raising money. So how does like from a mindset perspective, like how does someone go from one bad deal in Boulder on a condo to buying multi-million dollar properties, raising money, and leaving your W-2 job in like 3 years? Like that's pretty powerful, dude. If you think about it.
No, thanks. I mean, honestly, I think it's all about surrounding yourself with good people and a good team. I'm not going to take credit for that second deal. That second deal was really me, latching on to someone who's had the experience previously. That was, like I said, there was a couple of deals there that my JV partner had turned, and I was able to get in on the third deal. But effectively, my value for him to be able to buy, because once again, he previously bought a couple quads, and wanted to move up the stack. You always hear about people trading up. He didn't necessarily want to risk all of his own capital into a 12 unit in Denver. So my value was a second set of eyes on financials, second set of eyes on due diligence, and a little bit of capital. I ended up being a 25% owner in that 12 unit. And that money was effectively doubled in right around 2 years. And so I think for me it's surrounding yourself with people that have the track record of the experience. And I think there's a little bit of I don't want to say luck by any means, because finding good deals is hard, especially in this environment where we're at in the cycle right now. We've probably looked, between DFW, Denver, Colorado Springs, San Antonio, Houston, in the last 6 months, we've probably looked at well over 150 deals, and that's just on the broker marketed side. We're talking about, that doesn't include the direct to seller side. And so I'm fortunate in the sense that, we're not having to do this by ourselves. We do have a small acquisitions team, and the team is not full time. This team is made up of other, effectively West Point grads that are wanting to help us out on a part-time basis. But they're learning from us. They're a part of a team. They're part of a bigger story. And so, I think for us to be able to make that leap in the last 3 years, for me, it's really just leveraging the network and then, growing that circle.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Mike, what did the education side of this look like for you? Like, I imagine that there's, you didn't just kind of jump into it and necessarily just trust people. You learned certain skills and you got an education to be able to make decisions. What did that look like?
Yeah, honestly, my first year and a half, while I was still on a W-2, I purposely actually commuted to downtown Denver via bus because I wanted to have 45 minutes each way of podcast time, right? So I was able to listen to podcasts. Some of the ones that I was a big fan of were Joe Fairless's, Michael Blanc's, Hunter Thompson. But yeah, I just devoured a ton of content, read books. I know this book, David Lindahl's book, Multifamily Millions. It's kind of a stupid title, frankly. But that was one of the first books I read. And that talked about repositioning assets, value add multifamily. And so yeah, it was self-education. I have an MBA. What's funny is I've reconnected with a lot of my MBA classmates over the last year and a half. A lot that are doing really well here in Colorado. One's president of one of the largest life co-mortgage brokers in the country. Another one's COO of one of the largest development companies here in Colorado. And they make fun of me because you didn't take a single real estate class during our program. And so, yeah, entirely self-taught over the last couple of years. But I go back to the fact that, my time in the corporate world, I was, corporate development guy, finance, did deals, business operations. So all that's completely applicable to the real estate world. Real estate's, really not that hard. It's a lot of sure it's a lot of numbers, but some of the stuff that and metrics that we look at on the real estate side, pale in comparison to like what I had to look at when I was doing deals, M&A work in the corporate world.
Yeah, and really the reason that I asked the question is to show our listeners that you can, there are paths to achieving this, this awesomeness that you're at right now, right? Like you just scaled significantly. You went from a sucky deal, sat on it for 10 years. Well, you sat on real estate on the sideline for 10 years and jumped in both feet, and the self-education piece. You didn't have to go pay a ton of money for, classes. You didn't have to go back to school. You were able to achieve these things while kind of side hustling and networking and really just taking action. And that's really what I wanted to highlight is that anybody could do it, right? You just have to do it. And I love that. And I love that you're doing it and how you went about going. And as you know, and you can attest, and it's obvious through what you've experienced, is once you start doing it, those opportunities grow and grow and grow, right? You don't even know what you don't know. And then people start recognizing your name because of a deal, and other opportunities open themselves to you.
So I'm kind of curious, you said you kind of just started surrounding yourself with a lot of, people that are in the space and surround yourself with the right people. And I'm asking this because I'm kind of on the lookout for a new partner, and new best friend too. So I know you're already Dave, he's already in the running for new best friend. We've been hanging out, like, we've been mountain biking and we're gonna go snowboarding, so but
I mean, he said you're a nub, dude. We were just talking the other day, and he said, Stu keeps calling me, and we were kind of commiserating. He's like, "Do you have the same experience? Like, you just like a Klingon."
Michael, I'm curious, like what do you look for, like in partnerships? Because you started with a partnership in the 12 unit. You've done some deals with other people, and now you're the COO. But basically, that's another partnership, and you're raising money from people. I'm just curious, kind of like what do you have a checklist of what to look for, and like what kind of says yes to you on starting a partnership, and how do you kind of dive into that?
Yeah, I think my first partnership, we were good friends, still are friends. But I think the one thing that we didn't talk about was kind of long-term vision. What do we want as individuals, but then what do we want for the business itself, right? And so as we started to have more discussions, it became obvious to me, that we just wanted different things. And I talked a little bit about the expansion to Texas. That was one area. For me, I don't necessarily, need to have a multi-billion-dollar company or anything like that, but I also don't necessarily want a lifestyle business, right? And I've always been an entrepreneur, have entrepreneurship in my blood. My parents, they immigrated here, in their early 20s from the Philippines, and they owned. At peak, they owned like 4 or 5 gas stations, Exxon stations at once, and then that started to become too stressful for them, and so then they ended up going into the used car business. But for me, I saw that growing up, and just saw how hard they worked. And for me, I have no problem working hard by any means, but there needs to be a level of fulfillment there. And David, I know you asked a little bit earlier about cybersecurity. I mean, for me, part of why I made the transition from like telecom to cybersecurity, and why I was interested in that was, in the cyber world, I felt like I was fighting bad guys, and still do to a degree. But in the function I was in, I wasn't necessarily fighting bad guys. I was, doing businessy type stuff and trying to make another cybersecurity company as much money as possible, right? And so for me, that wasn't of service. And so, yeah, I think there just needs to be great alignment on core values and alignment on long-term vision. And I think once you have that, then really the sky's the limit. I'm firmly rooted in, kind of the integrator role. My partner is a visionary. And for folks that aren't familiar with Gino Wickman's book, Rocket Fuel. But yeah, effectively that topic and that concept was introduced in Traction, but it goes into a little bit more depth in Rocket Fuel. And frankly, Yeah, I mean, I think if you can find that partnership where you have the right people in the right seats, that's really going to help you take off. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing about being in the right seat, you may not be in that seat forever. I mean, that's eventually going to evolve, right? And so when we started talking, hey, what does the 1-year plan look like? 3-year plan look like? 10-year plan look like? We were in alignment all the way through 10 years plus. And so that was nice.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on a huge point there, Mike, because this is Stu and I spent a ton of time and even money and resources talking about and kind of exploring this. Most recently we went to a Life and Air conference together at their Get a Life Getaway, and really the intent with that whole conference is to build a life vision, and so for us individually, very important time spent to figure out our own personal life visions, but also being business partners, our life visions have to, at some point, they have to intertwine, right? Or else that partnership is somewhat superficial, and there's not really, how can you look ahead a decade if you can't agree on just some basic fundamentals, whether it's family, business, or whatever it may be. And so we do these things, and I just want to hit this point because I think it's so important. But we have 100% ability and control over who we hang out with. And I think when we develop partnerships, a lot of times we're like, wow, this guy and I, we drink beer together and like we laugh a lot. So great business partner. Well, no, I don't think so, right? You have to really dig deep and go and ask those hard questions. And I love how you hit on that, I mean, you have to be, it's like a marriage. You have to be willing to say, okay, what are our 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals? Do they align? Do we agree on important things that are, if faith is important to me, is it important to you? Okay, it's not, right? That's probably going to be a hurdle at some point. And so I think that, it's super important. I think people get into get into partnerships too quickly, whether it's marriage, whether it's business, whatever it is. And then you realize, you wake up one day and you're like, man, the honeymoon's over. And that's where Stu and I are right now. Like, we don't really want to be best friends and we don't really care for each other. And so, we'd really like to figure that out. But all joking aside, I think that's the true reality of it is, being able to be honest and open and to pick partners and be very, very judicious with how you're picking and take some time to do that. Because I think, even with you, like, we love you, you love me, you tolerate Stu, but we're talking about doing deals in the future, but we need to like sit down and actually hash this stuff out, right? You don't just jump into it, you hash these things out. And I really appreciate you sharing just how that can go sideways a bit, but also how it can create the process can create an awesome partnership, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and we've seen it, just in our mastermind group and in the war room. Guys are you kind of just naturally, especially if it's in an environment where you immediately inherently trust people because of just the military veteran background, and so like there's that trust, right? And so, hey, let's be a partner together. Let's go do a deal together. And I've seen it already. And people inside the war room in our mastermind have reached out to me and they've asked, questions. And that's kind of the first thing I ask is, well, like, have you guys sat down and like talked about your vision? Like where you want, like, even if it's one deal, like all right, what's going to happen down the road? Like, do you have a vision for where you want to go? And do your core values align? Who is the integrator and who is the visionary? I think that all that stuff is like super important to talk about before you go into a partnership together. Fortunately, David and I have spent, and we've known each other for 24 years. We were college roommates for 4 years, best friends. Like, we know each other like super, super well. And so, we were super fortunate to like just match well for a partnership. Because I'm like the really, really smart one and I do pretty much all the work. And David just like wears stupid wigs and thinks he's
rides your coattails.
Yeah, that's
dude. I'm the one that commits, dude. I'm still wearing the wig. You guys aren't. Like, I'm still in it, right? I'm in it to win it. And Stu has a lack of intestinal fortitude. And also, like, look at his face, dude. How are we selling a house with that face? Right? Like, we're not selling anything, dude. The thing you're selling with that face is radio ads and masks. That's it.
King Neptune costumes. I can't even wear that thing for like 15 minutes. The thing was itchy, man. I don't know if I'm gonna go trick-or-treating in that thing.
Yeah, there's no real inherent question there, but I do think I just want to express and kind of anchor on it for a couple minutes, just the fact that, you highlighted it. And I do think we jump into partnerships. I mean, and everybody's susceptible to it. Stu and I are thinking about some other things that we're looking at doing down the line, and like, hey, should we open this as a partnership? And, it's such an important question. And I think the answer, honestly, I think when you start thinking about partnerships and you ask that question, should this be a partnership? I think the first answer should be no. I think it's no, and then you find the yes, because it forces you to, and I'd be curious, have you and your current business partner, have you talked about, like, if things go wrong, if you disagree, like, have you set time aside to actually discuss, like, okay, say another opportunity comes up, like, how are we do you guys spend time asking each other those questions?
What's funny is we've started the discussion a couple of different times, but we've never really finished it. Right. And so I don't know if it's kicking the can down the road, or if the fact that, we just know we mesh so well with one another that, like, we're working on the current priorities, which I think that's frankly it, which is, hey, that's not necessarily terminating the relationship or the partnership isn't ever really going to be a priority. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, we've had conversations with, I guess some important people in our network that are like, hey, you guys need to have buy-sell agreements, that are ironclad, that describe every single scenario with regards to you guys cutting ties. Because I mean, real estate, let's be honest. I mean, it's not hey, let's just partner for a quarter or two. I mean, hold periods can be up to 10 years, right? And so, yeah, it really is like a marriage. And so, I mean, yeah, I think that's just certainly, a good reminder for us that that's something that we probably need to close the loop on.
Yeah, man. Another kind of question that is on the front of David and my mind is just this transition away from this W-2 income, leaving a safe job where you're getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, to going out on your own. And as maybe successful as you've been so far, it's still like, dude, I'm nervous. I'll be brutally honest. And I feel like we're set up pretty well right now. But I'm still nervous about leaving a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. And I'm assuming you have, we obviously went through that. I'm curious, just like what was going through your mind, and how did you kind of jump through that to get where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, similar to you guys. I mean, obviously, you guys are going to have a military retirement here when you leave the Navy here soon. For me, not that I was going to get the backstop of a military retirement, but my last company ended up getting acquired by a bigger company, and so on the way out the door, I was able to negotiate, a package. And that wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like it was like 12 to 18 months of runway or anything like that, but certainly it was, probably closer to 6, right? And so in my mind, I'd already kind of been saving for the last couple of years anyways, knowing full well that I was going to want to make this move, right? So I think there's a little bit of certainly planning, but then also that leap of faith of, just trusting the fact that you're going to be successful, right? So there wasn't any sort of doubt in my mind that anyone was ever going to outwork me, or I was going to perhaps fail at this next move, because I've done the homework, I've put in the time, I've put in, the effort, networking, and surrounding myself with the right people. So I think, my son, for some reason, like, even though I haven't been in combat or deployed in forever, he was still to this day, like, asked me, like, hey, were you ever scared when you were in combat? And frankly, my answer is always, I trusted the guys on my left and my right. And yeah, I mean, I never at any point was not confident that that we would be successful in our mission. So yeah, I mean, it's still kind of the same way with, I guess that's just the approach I feel now very confident in. I've done all the right things and set myself up for the right conditions to be successful.
I love that. I love how one, I love the confidence, but I think it's also a mindset that you choose to, people wake up and man, I'll tell you, it's not hard if you look around to find some negative people. It's not hard at all. And, and it was so apparent even with the travel woes. I was part of the whole Southwest reorg of flights and kicking people out. And I'll tell you, initially I was annoyed because I was like, man, I'm sitting in this airport forever. And you see these people around you, they're so angry and they're yelling at the poor lady behind the counter. And I went up and it was just nice. I'm like, look, my family's here. My kids are here. If you need somebody to help you out, let me know. And to make your day a little bit easier. And she's like, thank you. Here's $1,300 of vouchers. Just go. And so I went home, and dude, I woke up the next morning. My kids weren't expecting me. My boys run in the room. They jump on me and snuggle. Like you can find positive in everything, right? But I ended up at the airport for 7 hours, 8 hours, and it could have been terrible. And so you can look around and just find the negativity. But I love how just that self-confidence. It's not arrogance. It's just saying I'm going to do whatever it takes to crush it and make it happen. And so, and I love that. And I think our transitioning members need a little bit of that. And I think that you highlighted it's a choice, right? I imagine it's not something that it's something that you have developed over time. And I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's rad. So, and I have no doubt, which is why when I get back to Colorado, I think you and I are going to probably,
be best friends.
Right? Be best friends.
We'll just shove it out of the way.
Yeah.
Bogus. Hey, I'm curious what your daily routine looks like, because that's another thing that I'm kind of starting to realize is leaving a W-2 job where you have, in the military, you're there first thing in the morning, you have requirements, you have meetings, you're there pretty much like 7 to 4 every day, 8 to 5, whatever that is. You kind of have set schedules already planned for you. Was there a transition there for you, like creating your own schedule and holding yourself basically accountable to kind of setting your own plan now? And I see that as also a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, a couple months ago, I read the book Indistractable, and I like a lot of concepts and tenets from that. But honestly, I was kind of doing that before I even, kind of burned the bridges and decided to go full time with real estate investing. I mean, I think you do what's important to you, and you kind of make your day revolve around what's important to you and the highest priorities for the day, right? And so for me, I like to start my day off with me time, right? My most productive time in the day usually is, kind of that, 5 to 7:30 range in the morning, right? So, try to get a workout in during that time, reflect, pray, and just prepare for the rest of the day. But I do time block a lot of my day with regards to, hey, I feel like, hey, I got a golf tournament coming up here in a couple of days. I probably should go to the driving range and hit balls for like 45 minutes so I don't look like an idiot. I've done that before, right? So, yeah, I mean, to a degree, the nice thing is, when you were in the corporate world, and everybody at the company had access to your calendar, they could just put meetings on your calendar whenever there was open space or white space. Now I'm in complete control of my calendar. And, frankly, I try to avoid meetings unless I feel like they're worthwhile. But, I feel like right now I'm working pretty hard, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's work. And so, yeah, it's interesting because, my wife is an entrepreneur. I watch her schedule's dictated a lot by, clients and people coming in for consults. For me, if I prioritize a coffee or a lunch or meeting one-on-one with a potential investor or, someone I want to learn from, I mean, that's what I prioritize are really the relationships.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I was actually, I'm gonna cut you off, David, because it's fresh on my mind. I was listening to a podcast and I posted this on our Facebook group page for this podcast. And it was Jesse Itzler. You guys know Jesse Itzler. He was talking about like his kind of daily routines. And one of the things he said was he's basically like, I don't play life on defense. I play offense with my life. I don't let other people dictate my schedule. He's like, I plan out, like my wife and I sit down like November timeframe. We plan out the entire year. He's like, I plan out my big races, my big like events that I want to do, my speaking events. If I'm writing a book, I plan that out. We plan out kids' vacations, kids' soccer, like, and we plan it all out. Like we plan out year, month, week. And he said, every single night I sit down and I plan out the next day. And, that takes time and that takes discipline, but man, how awesome is that to like just play offense on your life and dictate everything and don't let anybody else, dictate how you're living. So it got me really excited about, kind of that's what I really like about the real estate world, the entrepreneur world, leaving a W-2 income. I think that's pretty cool. David, now you can talk. You can say something.
That is
Awesome.
cool. That's one of the things too. And Mike, you and I were talking about this, I think yesterday. One of the things that I love about the Life and Air group is that, it's basically a reverse calendar, right? You take all your priorities. And so I'm used to scheduling out my day and all my meetings and all that stuff. And then I have white space, and white space is the time that I can, whatever, that's where I fit in the things that may be important to me. Well, the concept of taking control of your calendar and you fill in everything that's important to you. And now your white space is the time that you have to work, to quote unquote work. And I just love that idea that playing offense in that context is prioritizing things that are most important, backwards planning from that, and then figuring out, okay, here's the rest of the time that I need to do the things that I need to do. So I love that. Mike, what does your future look like, dude? What's Mike E gonna do in the future?
Yeah, I think for us, certainly we want to scale pretty significantly over the next handful of years. What does that mean, scaling significantly? I think for us, that's really increasing our footprint in Texas, perhaps here in Colorado as well, although Colorado's kind of expensive at this point. But continuing to find value add multifamily deals. But then, I guess I joked earlier about like, this is my third career and probably my last. But I want to be able to like give back and do more philanthropic work. And, so I love what you guys are doing at Storehouse with regards to the Exodus Road and, finding some other organizations to be able to help out with. What's funny is Christian, my partner, and our wives, them being lactation consultants, they're talking about, opening up a breastfeeding clinic in Africa, to help moms breastfeed over there, right? And so, I think part of it all obviously is wealth building and, trying to get to the point where we do have that time freedom and financial freedom, but then building, like I said, that capital to really move to, a different bucket of our lives where, we can do work that's of service, serving God, serving others, so yeah, I think the fact if I can accelerate, doing more service and doing more good, I think for us that's probably the biggest priority. I certainly see real estate as part of it, but that isn't the long-term vision. The long-term vision is, raising my kids, being a good father, being a present father. My son talks about wanting to be a professional baseball player someday, so hopefully I can help enable that dream. But yeah, no, I think it's that holistic life for sure. Like I don't want to just have, my salary, my net worth, my title. None of that really matters. It's more hey, am I doing good and doing something of service for the community?
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it.
One thing he's gonna be doing is mountain biking and snowboarding with Stu and David.
Board
I
meetings,
heard
dude.
Dave's a good fly fisherman, so that's one social activity that I'm not the greatest at. So I think I'd love to get into it.
I'm like way better than David at fishing, so
Oh,
you and I we'll go and I'll show you the ropes.
all right.
Just out of curiosity, how do you measure good at fly fishing, Stu? Just so
I-
I understand the context of your last comment.
I just catch a lot of fish, dude.
Do you?
Yeah.
Huh.
I lose a lot of flies. I lose a lot of
That's
flies
good.
too.
Yeah, you catch a lot of trees. Hey man, we all catch trees. It's all good. No, and that's one meeting you're going to want to go to, Mike. Stu and I have board meetings, but they're actual snowboard meetings that take place on lifts and fun places. So, no, I think it's great, man. I thank God that our networks have kind of crossed and the whole academy connection, but also the War Room Mastermind. I don't even know how we were all connected. I think it was more of an academy connection initially, kind of academy dudes doing real estate. But it encourages me, and I encourage everybody listening to be active in that networking and to pick up the phone, make phone calls, because you never know who you're gonna find at the end of that line, and maybe a lifelong partner, maybe a new best friend. It may be somebody that it's going to expose you and grow you, and so I would encourage everybody to do it. And I'll tell you, man, I thank God that He brought Michael Euperio into our lives, because I see a bright future not only for you. I'm excited about your transition and your future and what you're doing, but also just how there's nothing better than, if you love doing business and you're an entrepreneur, than doing it with people that you enjoy being around, right? I mean, that's the ultimate. So so I look forward to it, for one, man. Really excited for you.
Michael, what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the alternative energy fund and your real estate deals and jumping on board and learning with you and partnering with you?
Yeah, so I said our company's Redeem Investments. Just reach out to me via email, michael@redeeminvestments.com. And so, yeah, would love to interact with any of your listeners, to be honest. I like giving back to the community and just having discussions about real estate or life in general, right? So, I mean, we jumped all over during the course of our conversation today. But I mean, if anything, I certainly feel like I have a lot of insight to offer with regards to any sort of questions that people may have around real estate, making a transition out of the military, leaving a W-2, all that. So happy to be of service to anybody.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah, and I love the nature of the conversation, jumping all over, because I think most of our conversations are very much like that, because we're hitting on the things that are most important, and I think it also shows a level of depth and a lack of superficiality when we actually talk about things, in our personal calls about our kids and our desires and needs and wants and some of these deeper topics. So I love it. Appreciate you always being open. And I think it's Michael, my hips don't lie, Euperio.
Here comes.
Oh, snap.
Let's see it.
Is that what you're gonna be? What are you gonna be for Halloween, Michael?
Shakira.
Good, I love it. It's so good.
I don't know what I'm gonna be for Halloween yet. I mean, we're decorating the front yard for a whole bunch of Halloween decorations right now. We just put like a skeleton in the ground, like buried, like
Nice.
some scary skeleton dude. But other than that, I haven't gotten to what I'm gonna be for Halloween yet.
I'm hoping it's not like as freezing cold as it was last year, so we can actually like get out and trick or treat. But we shall see.
Dude, I'm pumped, man. That's the next time I'm going back to Colorado to be with the family during some trick or treating. So I can't wait.
Yeah, man.
Exciting stuff. I'll leave you guys with a dad joke that we heard, and it's somewhat related.
Nice.
It's about pirates. So, Michael, how much does it cost for a pirate to get his ears pierced?
I don't know, man. How much?
a Buccaneer.
Love it.
So good.
So good.
Thank you for J Money. Shout out to you for that awesome joke. Thank you, sir. It's
Good stuff. Well, guys and gals, hope it's gave you some good tidbits of knowledge there. And hey, reach out to Michael. Like you heard, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's crushing it in his real estate business. And he's also just an awesome dude, and he's got amazing hair. So
dude, I love that wig, man. It's like, it just cracks me up. Good one.
share this podcast, give Michael 5 stars, and most importantly, go fill your storehouse.
Make a great day, friends.
See ya.
Shakira.
Shakira.